Welcome back to the Beef Bar Bruin Banter TV. We've got a few things to mention in this show for you. The Bruins on the ice, obviously continuing to struggle. Still riding a 4-game losing streak heading into this weekend's road trip, which goes to Kindersley and North Battleford. The Bruins dropped a pair of games to the Melville Millionaires last weekend, losing 4-3 at home on Friday, and then went to Melville and lost 9-4 in a bit of a shootout there on Saturday. So on the ice, things not looking very good. I guess the saving grace for the Bruins would be that Weyburn also lost all 3 games on their road trip last weekend, so they weren't able to gain any ground for that last playoff spot. The other theme, obviously, this week is the SJHL trade deadline, which was on Thursday, and as of this taping, which is in the middle of the deadline day on Thursday, we do know that Nick Weiss is no longer with the Bruins. The 20-year-old forward ended up leaving the team. Had some options to be traded to, but decided to quit the team. So the Bruins were looking to add a couple of forwards, since that leaves them with only 11 healthy forwards. So we'll expect some action on the trade front for the Bruins after this taping, unfortunately. But around the league, a somewhat big deal taking place Thursday morning as well. The Melfort Mustangs trading 20-year-old defenseman Carter Berg to the Nipawin Hawks. So a fairly major deal between two rivals there. And Berg obviously will be able to help the Hawks as they go for a championship this year. So that's about it that we've got from the deadline so far, and more is going to be coming throughout the day. So I guess for the rest of the moves, we'll have to check back in next week. Welcome back to the Beef Bar Bruin Banter TV. We're joined by Bruins President Jeff Pearson. And Jeff, today we're taping this on Thursday. Obviously, our viewers will see it on Friday, but a pretty big day in the SJHL, the trade deadline, and obviously with the struggles the Bruins have had this year, they'll be looking to make some changes. I guess tell us a little bit about what you would like to see on the deadline.
Well, I think, this is definitely a big day in junior hockey right across the country. So you have to have your roster set, so if there's any changes you want to make, today's your last day to do it. Obviously, I feel a shakeup of some sort's necessary to get this team going in the right direction. And, with this falling, when you're on a 4-game losing streak, I think it becomes very important to the hockey club. And obviously, we're looking to make some upgrades and a few roster changes to get that going in the right direction.
Anything specifically you think the Bruins need to be adding at the deadline?
I think in a perfect world, I'd like to see a higher-end defenseman added for sure. And if there's one of those forwards available, a huge piece of the puzzle has been missing all year in Calder Neufeld. If we could get a player anywhere near his caliber into the lineup, it's only going to bode well for us. And I think you really see Calder missing on the power play. It's no secret that our power play hasn't been necessarily where we'd want it to be, and that's a big part of the game. So if we get a forward that can contribute on the power play, would also be on my wish list.
Obviously, with the struggles this year, it's been more or less a nightmare season, I guess, considering the expectations. What's the message been, from the executive to the coaching staff?
Well, obviously, I think you can figure out that without me saying a whole bunch. This season has not went the way that anyone's expected, and we expect it to change. And it's about as simple as that.
Last time we had you on, you talked about your Pee Wee AA team. This time around, they made it to the A final in a tournament on the weekend, and I think we gave you a bit more high-profile coverage on it this time.
Off to you and the Mercury team. I'm really proud of the way my team's been playing, and they did very good. And Portage tournament lost a really tight one in the A final, and very impressed with the coverage we got. So kudos to you guys.
Finally, Jeff, we can't let you leave without giving us your pick of the week for a song. Or I guess pick of every 2 months or however often we have you on here. But what's your song that you're recommending for us today?
Oh, today I'm going to go a little outside the box, and it's a band called Kitten, fronted by a 17-year-old female California band. it's kind of almost a rock/dance song that you know, I think it's a little different. And she has a great voice, and I think it's worth a listen.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Welcome back to the Beef Bar Bruin Banter TV. We're joined by Bruce Firth, who is one of the 6 former Bruins who's going to be inducted into the SJHL Hall of Fame. That announcement just coming earlier this week. So, Bruce, what's it mean to you to be one of the select few from the Bruins history that are going in?
Well, for one thing, it's almost surreal. I sit here and think, is it really there? And I mean, am I really there? Because I didn't really think about that at the time. And even when I got back and joined the Bruin and executive, it was to help the hockey team. It wasn't for all those accolades and stuff. And it's just a tremendous honor to go in there. When I see some of the members that are in there, like Ray Frederick, who's done a tremendous amount of work for the team here. I played with Ron Dunville in the time, so him and I, in fact, one year played on the same line, so we each helped each other out. So there's some great names in there, and I just can't thank everybody enough that the privilege of being in that Hockey Hall of Fame.
You were telling me the other day you didn't realize till you moved back to Estevan about 10 years ago that you were, second on the team's all-time scoring list and top 20 in the league. And how does that sound to you? With all the players who have come through over the years, that you're second all-time in Bruins history.
Well, again, when you're a young kid, you go out there and you do your best, and if the points come, they come. And obviously, I put up a few good numbers there, and I went on with my life. It's only when I moved back here that one day Gail Gustafson's in the office. They came up to me and started teasing me about being a superstar and stuff. And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" I mean, and she had looked over the stats, and that was a real surprise to me because I guess that information wasn't as readily available as it is now. So, again, I was a little surprised, and I guess proud when I first found out about it, but I just brushed it off, and life goes on, so you just continue on, right?
Yeah. What were some of the highlights for you from your time here, some of your best memories?
Well, the best memories is I remember that my second year, my first year, we had a pretty rookie-laden squad, and we didn't do very well. I think we still hold the record for the least wins for the Bruins that year. I think it was about 14. So we had a pretty tough year that year. And the next year, Ron Dunville came on board. Who else is it? Who's also in the Hall of Fame? Was just awarded there too. And a guy named Grant Fagerheim came back as a 20-year-old. He was one tough son of a gun, and he could put points on the board too. So that year was a very memorable year for me because we very excelled quite a bit, and we lost out to Moose Jaw in the Southern Finals. So that's one of the ones that stands out for me, is that year with Moose Jaw, with a bunch of good guys we had there, and we had a winning record. And I tell you, winning record means a big difference of how you enjoy the season. Yeah.
And, obviously you played in the late 70s, early 80s here. How much has the hockey changed in that period of time?
It has changed tremendously. In my time in midget hockey, and that was back in 77, 76, 77, we might have played 20, 30 games max per year, whereas today they play 60, 70, and the coaching has gone so much better up through the ranks, and the game is so much faster, the equipment is so much better. So there's no one really that stands out in this league anymore because everybody is so much equal. So it is a totally different game. Back then, the Broad Street Bullies were the team of the era, so it was a much tougher, and enforcement came into play a lot more than it does now. They've sort of taken out of the game, whether right or wrong. It's out of the game now. It's more in finesse and strategy and speed.
And, obviously you're pretty heavily involved with the Bruins alumni now, too, being the treasurer and, one of the guys who helped get it going. It must be nice just to keep involved that way, where you're still dealing with some of the guys that maybe you played with or have played at different times over the years.
It sure is, and I was one of the stars ones, but there's guys like that really keep it going, like Kerry Biette and Brad Pearson has been instrumental of keeping it going, because this is something we do on our own time, and all these guys that are on there, like I hate to miss anybody, but they know who they are. That they spend their time to help us out. We don't get together that often, but we hold an annual golf tournament, hole-in-one in May, to help raise money for the Bruins. We don't give the money to the Bruins. We actually ask them, well, what do you need? If they need a washer and dryer for the laundry room, that's what we'll buy. It's not just giving the money. We find some good use for that money. But no doubt, I want to give accolades to all the guys, all the other alumni that helped out in starting that organization and to keep it going.
All right, Bruce Firth, one of the 6 former Bruins going into the SJHL Hall of Fame. Thanks.
Thank you very much, guys.